Today, I will tell you to be relaxed. Close your eyes for a moment. Let go of all worries. Breathe in slowly and breathe out gently. Imagine peace flowing into your heart like soft light. Feel your burdens washing away like waves returning to the sea. Let every word you hear become a blessing of calmness for your soul. Remember, you are safe, you are loved, and you are never alone. This moment belongs only to peace, only to serenity, only to you. There is a mysterious and divine strength hidden within gentle words, a power that cannot be measured by human hands, yet can be felt deeply by the human heart. When a soul is weary and burdened, when the weight of life presses heavily upon the mind, it is not loud voices or harsh tones that heal, but rather the tender whispers of compassion, kindness, and love. Gentle words act like drops of rain falling softly on the thirsty earth, restoring life, freshness, and hope where despair once grew. They enter not only through the ears, but through the heart, carrying with them a soothing light that eases pain and dissolves sorrow. Just as a soft breeze on a hot day brings relief without force, so too do gentle words enter a restless soul, not demanding, not breaking, but quietly embracing and comforting. Every gentle word is like a candle in the dark, casting light without burning, guiding without blinding. When spoken with sincerity, even the smallest phrase such as "Peace be with you, I am here for you," or "You are loved," can transform the entire atmosphere of a troubled heart. These words, wrapped in compassion, do not need to be many in number, for their strength lies not in quantity, but in purity and intention. Harsh words can cut deeper than a sword, leaving wounds unseen, yet long remembered. But gentle words mend what has been torn, like a healing balm placed upon invisible scars. They remind us that humanity's greatest strength is not in power, but in tenderness, not in domination, but in understanding. In moments of anger, when storms rage within relationships, gentle words are like calming waters that quiet the fire before it consumes everything in its path. They do not argue with fire. They simply absorb it, transform it, and release coolness in return. This is why prophets, saints, and wise souls throughout history have chosen gentleness over force, kindness over cruelty, and compassion over arrogance. Gentle words carry the fragrance of mercy. They do not push others away. They invite them closer. They create safety, trust, and harmony, making space for healing, forgiveness, and reconciliation. A child feels secure when spoken to with love. A friend feels valued when addressed with care, and even a stranger feels welcomed when greeted with warmth. Truly, the ripple of a single gentle word can reach further than we imagine, traveling from one heart to another, passing through generations like a sacred inheritance. In times of struggle, when the noise of the world feels overwhelming, the heart longs not for lectures or judgment, but for words that soothe, reassure, and comfort. The simple phrase, "You are not alone," can carry a broken soul from despair to hope. The soft blessing, "May peace be upon you," can erase the weight of anger. Even silence, when carried with the gentle presence of love, can speak more than 1,000 loud sentences. Gentle words are not only gifts for others, they are medicine for the speaker as well. When we choose to speak gently, our own hearts soften, our own souls are healed, and we find ourselves walking closer to peace. The tongue has the power to destroy or to build, to wound or to heal. And when we choose gentleness, we align ourselves with the rhythm of divine mercy, becoming instruments of healing rather than harm. Imagine a world where every conversation began with gentleness, where anger was replaced with calmness, and where judgment was replaced with compassion. Such a world would mirror heaven itself, a place where no harshness exists, only serenity, kindness, and everlasting peace. To practice the power of gentle words is to walk the path of the prophets, to imitate the mercy of the Creator, and to reflect the beauty of love in our human existence. For words are not merely sounds carried by air. They are seeds planted into the soil of the heart. Harsh words plant thorns, but gentle words plant gardens. With time, those gardens bloom into forgiveness, friendship, healing, and joy. And when a garden grows, it does not feed only the one who planted it, but all who walk near it, spreading fragrance and nourishment far and wide. Thus, when we choose gentleness in speech, we become gardeners of peace in a world that desperately longs for calm. So let us speak with care. Let us whisper love when others expect anger. Let us offer kindness when others prepare for conflict. And let us pour mercy into every word we release. For in the end, gentle words are not forgotten. They remain like stars in the memory of a heart, lighting the night. Sky long after the voice has gone silent. Truly, the power of gentle words is one of the greatest gifts given to humanity, a silent force that changes lives, heals wounds, strengthens bonds, and opens the door of the soul to the eternal peace of God. Rest in the presence of God. There is no rest greater, no calm deeper, no comfort truer than the rest found in the holy presence of God. When the world becomes heavy with noise, when the burdens of life press against the soul like restless waves, when the heart grows weary of uncertainty and the mind becomes clouded by fear, the soul longs for a place where stillness reigns and peace flows like a river. That place is not far away. It is not hidden in distant lands or locked behind unreachable gates. It is here, it is near, it is within the presence of the one who created us, who sustains us, and who loves us with an everlasting love. To rest in the presence of God is to step into a holy sanctuary where time slows down, where worries fade into silence, and where the soul breathes freely again. It is like walking beside still waters, hearing only the gentle whisper of grace. It is like lying down in green pastures, where the shepherd's voice assures, "You are safe, you are mine, and I will never leave you." The presence of God is not merely a concept or an idea. It is a living reality, an atmosphere of love that surrounds those who call upon his name. When the heart bows in prayer, when the lips speak in faith, when the soul lifts its eyes to the heavens, the presence of God descends like a soft mantle of light, covering every wound, healing every fear, and calming every storm. In his presence, the broken find restoration, the restless find stillness, and the lost find direction. The presence of God is not dependent on a place, nor bound by walls, for he is spirit, and he fills all of heaven and earth. Whether in the quiet of a room, the beauty of nature, or the midst of struggle, his presence can be found, for he has promised, "I am with you always, even to the end of the age." To rest in God's presence is not to escape life, but to embrace it with a new strength that does not come from ourselves. It is to know that we do not walk alone, that our path is guided by divine hands, and that every tear shed is noticed by the one who wipes them away. In his presence, pain loses its sting, because his love carries us through. In his presence, fear melts, because his perfect love casts out all fear. In his presence, joy awakens, because his spirit fills us with rivers of living water. When the soul learns to abide in God's presence, life is no longer a battlefield of constant striving, but becomes a garden of trust, where faith grows and peace blooms. Even in the midst of trials, the presence of God becomes a shield, a covering, and a fortress. Even when storms rage and waves rise high, the presence of God becomes the anchor that keeps the soul from drifting. Like the disciples on the sea who cried out in terror, only to hear Jesus speak, "Peace, be still." So too does his presence quiet the storms within us. Resting in his presence is like laying the heart against his chest, hearing the rhythm of eternal love, and realizing that everything is held in his hands. The world often tells us to find peace in possessions, in achievements, in fleeting pleasures, but such peace fades as quickly as it comes. True rest, true peace, true healing can only be found in the one who is peace himself. In the presence of God, the soul is reminded of its eternal home, of its divine origin, and of its heavenly destiny. In that holy presence, we are not defined by our failures, our wounds, or our fears, but by his mercy, his grace, and his love. To rest in God's presence is to let go of the heavy burdens we carry, the regrets of yesterday, the anxieties of today, and the uncertainties of tomorrow, and to place them in the hands of the one who said, "Come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest." This is not a rest that ends when the prayer is over, but a continual rest that lingers, a rest that transforms the heart, a rest that follows us into the daily journey of life. It is the assurance that whether in the valley or on the mountaintop, his presence surrounds us like a shield. Rest in the presence of God is not just about silence, but about communion. It is about relationship, intimacy, and love. It is about knowing that the Creator of the universe bends down to listen to the quiet sighs of the soul. It is about realizing that we are never too small, never too weak, never too broken for His presence to embrace. His presence is not earned. It is freely given, for He delights in dwelling with His children. The more the soul learns to seek His presence, the more it discovers that His nearness is life, His love is strength, and His peace is unshakable. In this sacred rest, forgiveness is found, healing is received, and hope is renewed. In this rest, we are reminded that nothing, not death, nor life, nor angels, nor demons, nor present, nor future, can separate us from His presence. The storms of life may roar, but they cannot break the bond between the soul and its God. The night may grow dark, but His presence is a lamp unto our feet and a light unto our path. The burdens may be many, but His presence carries them with us, turning heavy loads into light journeys. To rest in the presence of God is to return to the essence of our being, for we were created to walk with Him, to dwell with Him, to live in His presence. This is why the soul finds no peace apart from Him. Just as the fish cannot live outside water, so too the soul cannot live outside the presence of God. Every longing, every emptiness, every thirst of the human heart finds its answer in His presence. And when we learn to abide in that presence, we discover that rest is not just an experience, but a way of living. It becomes the rhythm of our hearts, the song of our spirits, the strength of our days. This rest is not a temporary escape, but an eternal promise, for one day, those who love Him will enter into the fullness of His presence in heaven, where rest will be complete and peace will never end. There, no more tears will fall, no more pain will remain, and no more night will come, for the eternal presence of God will be our everlasting light. But even now, before eternity, this holy rest is available for all who seek Him, for all who lift their hearts and say, Lord, I need You, Lord, I long for You, Lord, let me dwell in Your presence. And so, to rest in the presence of God is the greatest invitation ever given to the weary soul. It is the call to step away from chaos into calm, from fear into faith, from striving into surrender. It is the voice of the shepherd calling us to lie down in peace, the whisper of the Spirit reminding us that we are not abandoned, and the embrace of the Father holding us close in His eternal love. Water wave. When Jesus spoke the words, "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid." John 14, verse 27. He gave humanity a gift beyond all treasures, a gift not bound by the noise of the earth, nor stolen by the storms of life. The peace of Jesus is unlike the fragile calm the world offers. The world's peace depends on circumstances, on wealth, on health, on achievements, on the absence of conflict. But the peace of Christ flows from His eternal presence, a fountain that never dries, a light that never fades. It is the kind of peace that touches the innermost depths of the soul where anxieties dwell, and quiets them with a divine stillness. In this peace, fears lose their power, restlessness finds rest, and broken hearts discover healing. This promise of peace is not just for a moment. It is for every season of life, whether in joy or sorrow, in gain or loss, in certainty or confusion. 2. Accept the peace of Jesus is to step into a shelter where no storm can shatter the soul, where every tear is noticed, and where love watches over us like a gentle guardian. His peace is the assurance that even in the valley of shadows, His hand holds ours, guiding us through darkness into the dawn of hope. It is the whisper that says, "You are not alone. I am with you always." It is the calm that rises when prayers ascend, when burdens are laid at His feet, when faith clings to His cross. The promise of peace is not a distant dream. It is present here and now for every heart that surrenders to Him. It is the music of grace that quiets the noise of worry. It is the embrace of love that tells us we are safe. This peace is not the absence of struggle, but the presence of God in the midst of it. It allows a soul to smile in trials, to rest in chaos, to trust in the unseen. Jesus gives us not just words of comfort, but His very Spirit, breathing peace into our restless hearts. In a world full of wars, hatred, and division, the peace of Jesus stands as a sanctuary, teaching us forgiveness instead of bitterness, love instead of anger, and hope instead of despair. When He promised peace, He promised Himself, for He is the Prince of Peace, the one who reconciles us with God, with others, and with our own souls. His peace is eternal because it flows from His eternal kingdom, a kingdom not shaken by time, pain, or death. And so, whenever the heart trembles, whenever fear whispers, whenever life feels too heavy, we can return to this promise. Jesus has already given us His peace. It is ours to hold, ours to keep, ours to live in. Like a river that flows quietly yet powerfully, His peace refreshes, strengthens, and renews us. It reminds us that nothing, not death, not life, not angels or demons, not the present or the future, can separate us from His love. To rest in this promise is to rest in His arms. To believe in this promise is to walk in freedom from fear. To share this promise is to let the world taste the sweetness of heaven's calm. Jesus' peace is the gift that makes the soul whole, the heart alive, and the spirit unshaken, a treasure beyond measure, a promise that will never fail. There is a deep mystery hidden within the act of prayer, a mystery that carries the power to calm storms, to lighten burdens, to silence fear, and to fill the heart with a peace that cannot be explained by the language of the world. Prayer is not merely words spoken into the air. It is a sacred bridge between the soul and its creator, a secret conversation with the one who formed us, who knows us more intimately than we know ourselves, who understands the whispers of our hearts even before our lips move. When the soul kneels in prayer, a beautiful exchange takes place. Our restlessness is laid down, and in return, God places His serenity within us. Our tears fall, and in return, His comfort rises. Our weakness is admitted, and His strength begins to shine in us. The peace that comes through prayer is unlike anything found in the noise and distractions of the world. The world promises peace through wealth, comfort, or control, but such peace is fragile, easily broken by the smallest storm. The peace of prayer, however, flows from God Himself, who is unchanging, eternal, and greater than every storm. In the quiet of prayer, the heart learns to breathe again, the mind learns to trust again, and the soul learns to rest again. To pray is to enter into a sacred silence, where God's presence becomes the anchor of the soul. It is the moment when the restless waves of thought begin to settle, and the burdens of the day begin to dissolve like shadows before the rising sun. In prayer, the soul hears the gentle whisper of God saying, "Be still and know that I am with you." This whisper alone has the power to transform fear into courage, despair into hope, and sorrow into joy. The human heart was created for communion with God, and until it finds Him in prayer, it will remain restless. But the moment the heart bends in surrender, opening its doors to heaven, a flood of peace enters. It is as if the soul drinks deeply from a hidden spring of living water, water that refreshes, revives, and renews. In prayer, one does not simply speak, but listens. One does not merely ask, but receives. One does not simply pour out, but is filled. And what fills the heart in those moments is peace. Peace that guards a mind, steadies the spirit, and heals the wounds no one else can see. Every prayer, whether whispered in silence, sung in worship, or cried out in desperation, carries the power to touch the very heart of God. And in response, He sends His peace, a peace that rises above understanding. This is why in the Scriptures we are told, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus." These words are not promises of an easy life, but of an anchored life, a life steady even when storms rage, a heart at rest even when circumstances are uncertain. Prayer does not remove every trial, but it transforms how the soul endures it. Prayer does not always change the situation, but it always changes the heart. And the changed heart, filled with God's peace, becomes unshakable. There are moments in life when words fail us, when the pain within is too deep, when we do not even know what to pray. Yet even then, prayer becomes the breath of the soul, a sigh lifted to heaven, and God, who searches hearts, understands every unspoken cry. In those moments, His Spirit intercedes, His presence comforts, His peace surrounds us like a gentle embrace. This is the beauty of prayer. It requires no perfect words, no eloquent speeches, only a sincere heart. A single cry of "Lord, help me," can bring more peace than hours of worldly reasoning. A single moment of kneeling in surrender can bring more healing than years of striving. A single tear lifted in prayer can water the seeds of peace that will bloom in the soul. Through prayer, the heart learns the art of trust. Prayer teaches us that we are not in control, and yet we are held by the one who is. It teaches us that our worries are not meant to be carried alone, but surrendered into the hands of God. As trust deepens through prayer, fear loses its grip and peace takes its place. The heart begins to rest not because the path is easy, but because the companion on the path is faithful. In prayer, one discovers that God is not distant, but near, not silent, but listening, not indifferent, but compassionate. This nearness itself becomes the source of unshakable peace. When life presses hard, when burdens feel too heavy, prayer is the gentle key that unlocks the chamber of peace within. It lifts the heart above the weight of the world and places it in the light of eternity. It reminds us that we are not alone, that heaven is near, that love surrounds us, and that peace is not an illusion, but a gift. Every time we kneel in prayer, we step into the presence of the one who is peace itself, and no soul can touch his presence without being transformed. The more the heart prays, the more it begins to carry peace, not just in prayer, but into every part of life. The peace received in prayer becomes a river that flows outward, touching relationships, guiding decisions, calming conflicts, and shining as a light in darkness. A praying soul becomes a peaceful soul, and a peaceful soul becomes a beacon of God's presence in the world. Thus, prayer is not only for moments of need, but for every moment of life. Morning prayers awaken the heart with peace before the day begins. Evening prayers close the day with peace before sleep. Silent prayers in the midst of work carry peace into every task. Prayers in sorrow bring comfort. Prayers in joy bring gratitude. Every prayer, whether long or short, loud or silent, is a doorway to peace. And each time we enter, the heart is refreshed, renewed, and strengthened. The world may remain chaotic, but the heart, through prayer, learns to rest in stillness. The storms may continue to rage, but the soul, through prayer, remains anchored in the one who walks on water. This is the power of prayer, not to remove life's storms, but to place us in the hands of the one who calms them. To live a life of prayer is to live a life of peace. It is to walk daily in conversation with God, to carry every worry to Him, to rest every decision in Him, to surrender every fear before Him. Such a life becomes a testimony to the world that true peace is not found in possessions, achievements, or circumstances, but in communion with God. It is a life that radiates calmness even in trials, joy even in suffering, and hope even in despair. And this peace, born of prayer, is not fleeting, but eternal, for it flows from the eternal God Himself. So when your heart is restless, when your mind is anxious, when your spirit feels heavy, do not search for peace in the world's noise. Enter instead into the quiet of prayer. Speak to God. Listen for his whisper. Lay down your burdens, and you will find, as countless souls before you have found, that prayer is the secret place where heaven touches earth, where weakness meets strength, where sorrow meets comfort, where fear meets courage, and where the restless heart finally finds its home in peace. For in prayer, God himself comes near, and where God is, peace abides forever.